Welcome to RP Treasure Shop. My name is Riley, and today we are going to learn how to crochet my mini axolotl pattern. So without further ado, let's get started. So materials that you will need are weight 4 acrylic yarn. You can use any colors. As I said before, I like to use light pink and a darker pink for the gills and the tail, little tail accessory. I don't know what it's called. I need to learn more about axolotls. The next material that you will need is stuffing. Not even a lot of stuffing, just a little bit to stuff the head and the body. You'll need scissors, a 2.5 millimeter crochet hook, safety eyes. The size of the safety eyes are 10 millimeter. I like to use the glitter safety eyes to add a little detail to the eyes. See how it's glittery and blue? I hope that picks up. The final material that you need is a darning sewing needle. Pardon me. This means that the sewing needle is a bit bent at the top. It is intentional because it helps sew your amigurumi better. This is a low sew project, so all you need this sewing needle for is to sew on the gills and to weave in your ends. So now that we got all that information out of the way, let's start crocheting our axolotl. So just so you know, I am right-handed, so if you are left-handed, this will be difficult to follow. Without further ado, let's get started on this body. We're starting out the body in a soft pink or baby pink. And we are going to start off by making a magic ring, or what I like to call a magic circle. And this is how I usually make my magic circles. So you take the end that's attached to the ball of yarn, you put it over the end that is not attached to the ball of yarn. So now you have like a little loop here. You take the end that's attached to the ball of yarn and put it through the loop. Loop. Make sure you keep holding on to the end that's not attached to the ball of yarn. I forgot to mention that. So it won't undo. Pulling that loop through. And this loop right here is where you're going to put your crochet hook in. And then the end right here is the part where it'll be able to pull this loop tight. I have a better full in-depth tutorial about this if you would like to learn more about how to make magic circles. That will be linked down in the description box down below. Or you can find it in my tutorial playlist. We're going to pull the loop that is around the crochet hook tight. And that is usually how I make my magic circles. I call this an unfinished slip knot. Now that we've got that taken care of, it's time to start the head, round 1, and I count the magic circle as a round. We are going to chain 1. You always chain 1 at the beginning of each round. And we are going to do 6 single crochets inside the magic circle. So that is 1, 2, and 6. It's the start of the head. Good job. Now we are going to pull the magic circle closed. Just tug on that end and it just shuts the magic circle closed. How tiny that is. Now, to end off our first round, we are going to do a slip stitch in the first stitch that you made. Ooh. It's a bit loose in the middle, so I suggest to tighten it as much as you can. And that's round 1. On to round 2. At the beginning of each round, always remember to chain 1 because we are not doing continuous rounds. This pattern is written in just rounds and not continuous. There is a difference in those two. So we are going to increase in each stitch. So the stitch count will be 12 stitches. This is round 2, so in each of the 6 single crochets, you are going to do an increase. This will help get the shape of the head and the desired width that we want. And that's round 2. On to round 3. Round 3, chain 1. Ignore that. And round 3, we single crochet in the first stitch next to the chain 1 that you just did. So 1 single crochet, and then in the second stitch you are going to do an increase, which is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. You repeat this process 6 times until you get to the end of the round and slip stitch it off, and the total stitch count should be 18 stitches. Remember, once you're at the end of the round, slip stitch, and that is round 3. On rounds 4 and 5, you just single crochet in each stitch, and that will give the desired length for the head. So I'm going to do rounds 4 and 5 and come back to you for round 6. Welcome to round 6. We are going to single crochet in the first stitch from your chain 1. Always chain 1 into each round because this is not continuous rounds. And in the second stitch of round 6, we are going to invisible decrease. Invisible decrease is just going into the front loop of the first single crochet and the front loop of the second single crochet and joining them together with 1 single crochet. That way we'll still do a decrease, but it's very neat and nice, and there is limited spaces or holes in between the stitches. And we are going to repeat this process 6 times, and the count the stitch count will be 12 stitches. So again, do a single crochet and an invisible decrease. And I will meet you back when round 6 is fully complete. Now that round 6 is complete, we're moving on to round 7. In round 7, you chain 1 because it is not worked in continuous rounds, and we do an invisible decrease in each stitch. So then your stitch count will be 6 stitches. And remember, an invisible decrease is just front loop on the first stitch, front loop on the second stitch next to the first stitch that you're working in, combine the 2 front loops together, and with 1 single crochet. And that is going to be the head of the axolotl. Now we move on to the body. Moving on to round 8. Round 8, we are going to do a chain 1 at the beginning of the round. And what we're going to do is we're going to work in the front loop of each stitch and increase in the front loop. The increase is just 2 single crochets in the front loop, and this will start the creation of the body. Since it is a no-sew body, working in the front loop, we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch. Then your stitch count will be 12 after you finish this round. Round 8 is complete. We are moving on to round 9. In round 9, you chain 1, and we are going to single crochet in the first stitch. And then after we single crochet in the first stitch, the second stitch we are going to do a bobble stitch. Now the bobble stitch is made with 5 incomplete double crochets. I will show you how to do the bobble stitch. So in the second stitch next to the single crochet that you just did, we're going to do yarn over, pull through. You have 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and we're not going to finish this double crochet. We are going to do 4 more incomplete double crochets in the same stitch. So that's 1. Make sure you're putting your hook in the same stitch. That is 2, 3, and 4. Total of loops, excluding the loop from the single crochet, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops, excluding the one that's connected to the single crochet. 5 incomplete crochets. Now we yarn over and pull through all 6 loops that are on this hook. And now, in the next stitch, right here, right next to all the double crochets you did, we are going to do a single, pardon my finger, crochet. Make sure you take your pointer finger of the crochet hook hand that is holding the crochet hook, pop that stitch forward, and then yarn over and pull through, tighten that stitch. I give it a good squeeze to make it form its hand, and that's the bobble stitch. Now we are going to do 2 more single crochets. So that's 1 and 2. Now we're going to do another bobble stitch in the next stitch. So we're going to make 5 incomplete double crochets in the same stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we yarn over and pull through all the loops. Remember to push that stitch up so keep its puffy popcorn shape while we do a single crochet right next to the bobble stitch we just made. Single crochet, tighten that stitch, and there you go. Got 2 little handsies now. Now we are going to single crochet in the remaining stitches and slip stitch right on the single crochet next to the bobble stitch on the other side of the body. Alright, now that we're done with round 9 with the bobble stitches, it is time to add our safety eyes. Now the safety eyes go in between rounds 4 and 5, and how I count my rounds is I use my crochet needle, and if you see how there's like a lump and there's like a line around each round, that is the round. So it's considered round 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are putting the safety eyes in between round 4 and 5. Now, the safety eye that's in between round 4 and 5, you are going to put it above the bobble stitch. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In between them means on this little line in between the rounds. Put the first safety eye right above the bobble stitch. So that's the first safety eye. So once you put the first safety eye in, the pattern says to put the safety eyes 4 stitches apart. So starting from the top, that lump right there is 1 stitch, 2, 3, 4, right there on 4. Place that safety eye in. Take a good look at it to make sure that you like where you placed your safety eyes. And now we add the backings on. I like to do it one at a time because there's a small opening to stick your finger in. It's not much room to work with, but you are able to do it if you force it. There we go. Pop that first safety eye. Make sure to keep the second one on. Use the second backing. Make sure to form the head. There we go. You just put in your pair of safety eyes for the axolotl. Now we are going to stuff the head, and then after we stuff the head, we are going to crochet the rest of the body. Round 10, chain 1. We're moving on to making the rest of the body now that we've stuffed the head. Now round 10, we are going to single crochet in each stitch. The stitch count will be 12. So I will meet you there once round 10 is complete. Moving on to round 11. Now the instructions in round 11 is we are repeating round 9 again, but I will show you quickly what round 9 is. First, you single crochet 1, and then in the next stitch, we are going to do 5 incomplete double crochets. So that's 1, 2, and 5. As you can see, there are 5 loops, excluding the loop connected to the single crochet you did. And now we are going to join all 5 loops, including the single crochet loop, together. And then push the bobble stitch cluster and single crochet in the next stitch. Remember to tighten your stitch and shape the bobble stitch. There we go. Do 2 more single crochets. 1, 2. That is a total of 3 single crochets in between each bobble stitch. Now we are going to do another bobble stitch with 5 incomplete double crochets. Now you just join all the loops together like we did in the previous bobble stitch. Single crochet in the next stitch while pushing the bobble stitch out. Remember to squish and form that bobble stitch. Look at that. All 4 little chubby appendages. Then we single crochet in the rest of the remaining stitches. On to the next round. And round 12, we are just going to do 6 invisible decreases, which will then remain 6 stitches. So the stitch count will be 6 stitches. As you can see, the body is taking good shape. Very cute. We're moving on to the tail. Rounds 13 through 15 is to single crochet in each of the 6 stitches. Now that you are finished, it is time to end it off. Leave a small tail. I slip stitch and then pull the knot tight. You have a little opening here. Just sew the opening closed. And that is your axolotl body. We are going to make the gills for the head now. We are starting in the lighter pink for the base. Chain 6. Is the first step. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th chain is an extra chain to help it stay straight. Now that you have 6 chain, we're going to skip the first chain, go to the second one, and single crochet each stitch, which will be 5. That's 1. This is 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is the base of the gills for the head. You need to make 4 of these. So repeat this process. I don't know why my camera was doing that. So repeat this process 4 times. Now that you have the bases for the gills, it is time to move on to the frills of the gills. Hey, that rhymed. Camera, why are you doing that? Camera. Hello? You were having a little party there. Okay. That's fine. So for the frills, it is just 1 row. So make a slip knot. We're making the frills in shocking pink or whatever darker pink that you have. This one is the color Pretty in Pink for this tutorial because I ran out of shocking pink. I don't know why it's doing that. But we are starting on the side where all the chain is. Like the chain side. Start at the end and slip stitch. Whoa. Whoa. Start at the end and slip stitch. There we go. Once you do the slip stitch, chain a total of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then in the next stitch, slip stitch. So that's your first frill. It's a loop. And chain 1, 2, 3, 4, and again slip stitch in the next stitch. Repeat this process all the way around until you get to the end over here. Do not join the frills together because this part is going to go to the head and attach itself to its head when we do the sewing. The total amount of frills you will have once it is complete should be a count of 9 frills. So these little loops, you should have 9 of them once you go all the way around the base of the gill. Now that you have all 4 gills done, it's time for the assembly. I like to use the ends that we have from the base of the gills to sew them onto the side of the axolotl's face. So the bottom gill is going to be on round 5. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On round 5, where we're going to sew the gill on, or you can just tie it on 2 stitches away from the safety eye. We're going to sew this base on. I like to sew it on a little bit better because it makes it more secure. But in the pattern it says to tie them on, because some people don't really appreciate sewing as much. Now we go through. That's the first gill. We'll worry about tucking in our ends later. Here is the second gill, and the second gill is going to be on round 3. So count 1, 2, 3. So on round 3, you are going to sew that gill on. You can use a stitch marker to keep your gills in place while sewing it on. And there's the frills. Repeat this process with the other 2 frills on the other side of the head. Once you have finished that, we are going to move on to the gill accessory on the tail. Alright, with this part, we are surface crocheting on the tail. Make a slip knot. Take the body of the axolotl and make sure you turn it upside down because we are working from the bottom all the way to the other side, like this. So start to surface crochet right under one of the bobble stitches. I choose the right side, so the good side will be facing out. And we are going to start to surface crochet on round 13, which means the round right below the bobble stitch. So take your hook, make sure to go into the post of that stitch, and then we are going to single crochet. So yarn over, pull through, and yarn over and pull through. That is your first stitch of your surface crochet. In the next 2 rounds, as you see, there are 1, 2 rounds. We are going to go into the post in between each round and single crochet. So that's the first single crochet. This is the second single crochet. And we are going to single crochet 1 more time. So that will be a total of 4 single crochets. So let me pop it through. There we go. Sometimes it can be very stubborn. And that is a total of 4 single crochets. Now we are at the tip of the tail. For the tip of the tail, it's a little bit different. So in the tip, which is right here, we're in the tip now. We are going to do 2 single crochets, and this is all in the same stitch, by the way. So that's 1, 2, all in the same stitch, chain 2, and then in the second chain from your hook, single crochet, and then single crochet 2 in the stitch, the same stitch in the tip of the tail. That's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. Turn your axolotl body to where you're on the other side. And see how we made a little triangle tip at the tip of your axolotl tail? That's what the chain 2 was for. Now that we're on the other side, just single crochet all the way across. You should have 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and then we meet back to the other bobble stitch on the other side with another single crochet. That is row 1. With row 2, the back of the axolotl will be facing you. Chain 1 and single crochet all around. It should be a total of 11 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's considered a stitch at the top. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now you have the little frill accessory on the tail. End off your project. I do a slip stitch and pull and weave in your ends. There you have it. Now you have your complete mini axolotl. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next episode of RB Treasure Shop. Bye bye!